Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a beautiful day. I just recently ran into somebody called the Prophetess. I had heard of her a couple of times, but I was like, Then I actually heard her say a few things, and I saw her speak with a little shawl on her head, and I was like, well, everybody else is getting into the spirit of cosplay. Why not? But on a more serious note, when I woke up yesterday, I had heard so much about the storm that was brewing in Florida and how so many people were already injured and hurt. So I thought to myself, let me try to help people in my type of way. And so, oddly enough, I got up and did something I normally don't do because of how deep I was constructed into math and science and just physics and everything. So I stood up and I started speaking into existence that the storm would be calm. I was like, I rebuked the storm. I am who I am, and I am that which moves the seas and opens the skies. And I just started saying poetry. And uh, then, like hours later, I posted that I rebuked the storm and it will not be. And then I made a poem last night when I was kind of tipsy and posted it. And throughout the night, I started to notice that people were getting online calling the radars fake and saying that the news was fake. And I was like, Well, then when I got up this morning, I mean, because also before I went to bed or throughout the day, they were talking about how it's turning into a category 3 and it was going to be so this and that and all this other stuff. Well, I ended up throughout the day I felt the winds blowing and blowing, and I was like, that's strange, you know what I mean? So then, I started to watch radars for up in our area, and I noticed that the hurricane has started to disperse and spread throughout the land instead. Well, then when it came inland or in midland, then what happened is the winds dispersed, and now it's brewing into a storm. I've seen multiple news sources say that it turned into a tropical storm once it got inland. So out of all these hurricanes in history, they kept saying it was going to be a big bad one in a category 3, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And then who I am began to pray and speak into existence, and now it's just a tropical storm. I don't do these things in vain for my own glory. I don't do these things in my own name. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that because I'm not doing it for my glory. Anything that I do and show anybody is for a specific purpose. What I'm trying to do is get everybody else closer to who they are, or I'm trying to get everybody else to understand their kingdom of their heart by simply showing them what I am able to do or showing them what I am able to conjure or manifest. I tell people many times we have many great powers but don't understand how to use them. Because if you pay attention, anytime you've ever tried to teach somebody or tell somebody something, what's the first thing many people say? That's not real. You're tweaking. You're danger. They tell you all these things why you're wrong or what you're doing isn't right and this and that. But in actuality, I believe that's fear because maybe people don't possess the same abilities. I'll give you a very simple ability: the imagination. Some people will say they can daydream and imagine things and they have all these dreams. That's a very special gift. But it's not only secluded to those people. What's happening is a lot of people are closing themselves off to their own selves. And so then they believe what everybody else tells them. Hello, Pink Panther. I love that name. I got a pink hoodie and I basically act like the Pink Panther sometimes. But when I say act like the Pink Panther, I'm just simply saying like a Robin Hood, robbing the rich and giving to the poor. Although I don't believe in stealing, but what did Malcolm X say? In dire times, right? But anyways, the point is, a lot of times people have very, very special gifts, and the world can take away from those gifts with either their confusion or unawareness. Just, somebody could come up to me and tell me a beautiful story. That beautiful story can be their gift of storytelling or creativity or something. If I just look at them and go, oh, you're a liar, you're wrong, I just technically, through the spirit, harmed them unaware. Hello, Armelinda Bedco. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, that's why I write a lot of poetry, because in my poetry I am manifesting new vibrations, new words, new beliefs. And so, just yapping about a secret I want to tell you. So essentially, let's say before I was afraid of something. Let's say I was abused through religion and I was afraid of certain religious practices. I want to say probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I was professing like I was atheist, but I was still terrified of a lot of beliefs and concepts like hell and eternal traps and stuff like that. Well, I began writing poetry, and as I began reading the poetry and getting to know what I was writing, then later on throughout the day, if I was afraid of something, then one of the lines of the poetry would come to me and help me be more level headed towards that subject. Like, I'll give you an example. I know of lightning and I know of storms. And I know the chances of being struck by lightning are very low, although it's still possible. Well, me and my knowledge of knowing that, sometimes when I'm caught in storms or in rainy situations, the knowledge of lightning can come to me. Oh, don't stand by trees. Don't do this. Don't do that. Oh. Paranoid and being petrified. But in my poetry and in the video games I play, like when I'm an orc warrior, I mix the two concepts together. And now, like if I'm walking down the street and it's raining, I am an orc warrior. I am fast. Teleport to the land and get to where I need to at last. Worry not about the lightning and the plasma in the sky. My axes are powerful, and so am I. And so I wouldn't be in a library doing that, or talking to a healthcare professional doing that, or talking to a client doing that. But if I'm in my own little world and there's something bothering me, now my new lines of code, my new word and spirit help guide me through that. What in the shrooms is going on? I actually try to warn people about doing certain drugs and psychedelics and stuff. I don't think that enlightens people or brings them closer to anything except harming themselves. Me personally, I smoke weed. But even in smoking weed, you know what I mean? If it's not legal or if it can cause trouble within the law, I wouldn't. Yeah, in a way, video games help everybody. Like even scientists and healthcare professionals will tell you, like as you get older, if you play like crosswords and think of like a cell phone, right? And if you use a cell phone and you go to the Play Store and you have different games to occupy your mind, now you have one side of the spectrum that'll say video games are bad, they'll rot your mind, they this and that, screen time, destroying your eyes, blah blah blah. Okay, they have their positivities and they say certain things that's true. But what I'm saying is, you're sitting there, you're doing a crossword now, you're playing Farmville, learning how to. I know how to melt. I don't know how to do it in real life, but I know that when you smelt iron and copper together, you get steel. When you smelt copper and tin together, you get oh shit, it's been so many years. Iron or something like that. It's like a whole process. And I know different elements and chemicals from school, but also through certain video games that have quests. And so I know how to do certain things. You know, I know about fletching. I know about different aspects of life that I probably normally wouldn't have learned about just watching a television show. I know about, even with hand-eye coordination. If you're watching a video and they have those videos where they throw something at the screen and you jump, that's because everything is coming from the first person perspective. And so even though it's not real, it still feels real because of your automatic nervous system and your reflexes. And so, even when people play video games and stuff, and when they play certain fighting games like Super Smash Brothers, your hand-eye coordination, you're moving back and forth, and you're training your mind to do certain things. Even if you look at virtual reality, that's how a lot of military combatants were trained, especially coming up. You guys don't realize how old AI and virtual reality are. A lot of people don't, and so I'm trying to teach people to the best of my ability that we should come into the new age of information. And even with information, we shouldn't tell people this is real or that's real or this or that. Sometimes that might be necessary, but for the most part, we can be hindering people and taking away from their own personal beliefs because of how we feel at the moment or because we don't understand. Even like I can sit here and say, murder's bad, abuse is bad, all those things are bad. But look at people like Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King and all his novels and stuff, and different novels I had growing up like Goosebumps. You know what I mean? Those are scary stories and stuff like that. But essentially, what those artists did was they took something dark and created something creative with it. And that's why I said I don't hate the Bible. I hate what people do with the Bible and these institutions that they build because it enslaves the young, unaware minds and then causes people paranoia and delusions and buffoonery, taking away from what's real. And so, that's why I try to show people on this camera what we are all capable of doing. A lot of people are not aware, and a lot of people are not ready to hear certain things because they are grounded in their own world. which is fine. If some people need grounded, some people, birds fly, hunters hunt. You know what I'm saying? Cats hunt on the ground. You know what I mean? Uh, Sea animals hunt in the sea. They swim. Everybody's got their own domain and their own. Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, whoever. I don't know, but thank you, God, for real. But I just try to bring people back to the light, bring people back to purity. You know what I mean? And when I say purity, I can't tell you all what purity is. I can give you an example of what I think purity is, but as I tell everybody, all truth is subjective until it gets to the beholder, and then they make it objective. But even take two people arguing over whether or not the earth is flat or round. I mean, if neither person has a spaceship to go out there and see, the argument is null and void. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is survival. If you both needed to survive at that moment, I guarantee you wouldn't worry about if the earth was flat or round or not. It would be about helping survive. You know what I mean? And so that's why I teach people, even no matter what I believe in the all law most of all. Love who I am with all your heart and soul, and love your neighbor the same. That basically is what makes the world better. That's what heals the world. Stuff like that. Um, and so, life is beautiful in a sense that a lot of people down here that are thinking like, oh, we're sinners, we're missing the mark. Where you guys are being programmed, dude. You guys are already good people. You're not murdering people. You're not stealing. You're not robbing. Even if, like, real talk, like the idea of Robin Hood, if a man's starving to death and then he steals bread, will you be mad at that person? It's like there are institutions down here. We have all this technology and all this stuff, and yet people are still living in a world of like, this tree paper buys this. All right, thanks. All right, now all of you that are starving outside of these huge, beautiful buildings, it's like, what? That doesn't logically make sense to me, but that's my truth, and it's subjective, I guess, to others, but objective to me. So if anybody would like to follow along and understand, I tell people, I am who I am. I am sent me. I am the one who frees from the house of bondage. You shall have no gods before who I am. Don't bow to them or worship them. So now you say that all are you all are I ams. If you weren't, you wouldn't comprehend or understand or have feelings or none of that. And so we are children of who I am. I'm not saying you're my children, but open your ears and understand what I am truly saying. I am spirit. God is spirit. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with who I am, us. Even even if you look at this from a scientific perspective, now think about this. The Ten Commandments says honor thy father and mother. Now who creates us? Father comes together and mother. When they come together and the germ cells get together, they do meiosis at first, which is a different type of division. And when those cells come together and then do meiosis, or mitosis, I believe it is, begins to occur. So even from a scientific perspective, in the beginning, the father and mother, who I was told to give reverence to or honor, and then the cells come together and build and grow, and who I am build who I am, the heavens and the earth, my mind and my flesh. Whatever creed, teaching, it all comes back to the same singular foundation, and then we can grow from there. That's why I see a lot of people say, we're only saved by grace and the Ten Commandments is dead and all this stuff. Well, think about what you're actually saying. What's the Ten Commandments? Don't kill. I say don't rape too, so don't kill or rape. Don't steal. Don't covet after your neighbor's house or your whatever. So now I don't want to go rob my neighbors. Don't commit adultery. So if you're married, you know what I mean, do what you got. I don't know the marriage. Some places have 2 or 3 wives. Some places have 1 wife. Some people are monks forever and don't believe. Whatever you, like I said, the contract you sign. If you're gonna have a wife and she says she only wants to be with you forever and you sign that, that's on you. Now I'm not in your ear saying go get a woman, go get a woman, go get. That's, you know what I mean. I'm not telling people they're evil if they make love before men. That's man's laws and teachings. If man couldn't read and write and speak, they wouldn't do certain things like other men. Yeah, don't kill, don't murder. How some people, I put don't kill and then people get mad at me and they'll say don't murder in the Hebrew. But then like I tell people, okay, it's whatever you guys want to believe. Like even like animals and sacrifices and stuff. I think that's kind of weird. Like if you're gonna eat something like a cow or pigs, I don't know what the appropriate. I see in some countries they eat like roaches and ants and stuff. I'm not here to judge those things. What I'm saying is, and if you are in civilization, like the whole cats, dude, that stuff is racist. People are going to the grocery store. They're not eating cats and dogs. And if it's another country that eats something, that's no different than us Americans going to India and trying to eat a cheeseburger. They don't eat cows. So it's about respecting whatever. I don't. So, anyways, what I'm saying is basically killing things for no like just for like because to me this is what you're doing. Oh, I'm afraid I'm a sinner, so you kill something else. That's not taking accountability. Now I can understand the idea of if they were killing humans in the past and then somebody was trying to wean them off of that like a drug. Okay, do an animal instead, and then go later down to sacrificing concepts. You know what I mean? That's what I'm basically thinking. But I don't know. Even what does Noah say, who is a transliteration of mean armor, an ancient African king or whatever you want to call these people, with his rod and cane. They ended up calling him Cain the farmer, mean armor. But anyways, the point is, when he was teaching not to eat, like drink blood and cannibalism and stuff, and that's what I try to tell people. Like they say Egyptians were the ones doing cannibalism. No. The Africans went over into Semitic lands and all the way to Babylon. A man named Mean Narmer, this is written scholarly history, and he was trying to teach them not to eat things. It was gross. They taught people to cook over time, farming, cooking. It's a whole historical thing. But just what I tell people is to be non-harming, be cool. Like I see like millions of people saying, "I think I'm a sinner, and this is a sin, and that's a sin." It's like, dude, like live your lives. These popes and these evangelists and these major holy people are confusing people with religion and vain words and stuff. So I tell them anyway, if they didn't die, how are they telling you what's happening after death? I don't. And so it's your job to create a story to keep yourself on the foundation, on the stone. If I'm walking on a level path and some man grabs me from, this is just a metaphor. I'm walking on a path in the Lord of the Rings, and some ghoul comes up and grabs me and tries to take me off the path. You're gonna go to hell if you don't follow these laws. And keep walking on the path. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just because in my mind it says follow the Most High, right? What's the Most High's name? I am who I am. Okay. When I am doing something and I am telling myself to do this because it's peaceful or non-harm causing and I'm not causing harm, then somebody in one of my videos comments and goes, "You're the devil. You're the Antichrist. You're gonna burn or follow these laws." Honor who I am, don't take who I am in vain. Now, I'm not telling you to literally cut off their hand, but in Arabia, they cut a thief's hand off. So you're trying to steal a part of me. Okay, so that's just a metaphor. I do not understand the idea of cutting people's hands off and causing physical pain. Sorry. So please stop doing that if y'all still do that. What I'm saying is, if I'm walking on a path like Erdogan, and I'm walking and I got the king's sword in my hand, I'm not gonna let ghoul pull me down. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep going forward. And so that's what I tell everybody. There might be something I'm doing wrong, like I'm about to walk into the street where I look both ways. Hey, brother, look both ways. Oh, thank you. Let me help you up too. That was some good advice. You see what I'm saying? It's like a symbiotic system, relationship. I'm not going to give life to stupidity. Like, okay, I'll give an example. This is 2024. I know the political environment, 600, there's 613 commandments plus the first three, which is the Ark of the Covenant. That makes 616. So anybody with ears to hear, what else is 616? I'm trying to tell people. That I was just about to speak on Leviticus. Actually, yeah, you go follow all 616 of those if you want. But so when arguing about the body of Moses, I simply said who I am, rebuke that idea, and simply continue going forward. I'd rather not be following 616 laws attached to my soul, because even what does the Lord say? Do not say what you will do if it is too much of a heavy burden. The Pharisees tell people to carry these stones, but they won't follow them themselves, because I bet you Buddy cooked hamburger helper before, and that requires cooking meat and milk. I bet you Buddy has on double stitching on his shirt. That's a sin. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh. Never cook a goat in its mother's milk. So don't cook the prophet. You see what I'm saying? They don't know what this shit means. So, anyways, you know, when you like, if in this political environment in 2024, if who I am knows that there's a lot of people who believe in homosexuality, I'm not going to pick up a rock and go, "Oh, orc warrior." No. Okay, that's how you guys feel. That's how you guys believe. But me on the inside, and somebody's bombarding me saying you're gay, that's you. As I said, projecting and not telling the truth about yourself. Well, I'm going in my ear. I'm going to stone that thought or idea, because no, I'm not. I know who I am. I rebuke thee. Now, did I pick up an actual rock? No, I just simply told them that's not for me. I could have said it nicer, but if I'm being bombarded, I'm doing what I have to keep walking forward. Yeah, so straight, yeah. So, I respect people and everybody and all because it's not like, okay, somebody will come up to me and be like, they love Trump. Okay, outside of them saying they love Trump, now we can talk about other stuff. I don't care if they love Trump or not. What is that? Now, if they're saying they're going to harm people for Trump or they're going to harm people because of something Trump said, I'm either going to go after Trump or I'm going to tell that person to go after them, hey, chill out. The fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Just like Israel, I heard Israel got up on the UN podium, was pulling scriptures like turnips in a garden or apples out of an apple tree, and another guardian of the tree came and put a couple of them scriptures back, apples back in the tree, and let them know, y'all are talking about scriptures, but then talking about slaying Amalekites and all this other stuff. That's violence. That's not who I am. And so I fight against those concepts with the sword of my mouth. One time on Facebook, I put, with the sword of my mouth, I will destroy darkness. And this girl got on there and said, what that mouth do, daddy? I was like, oh my fuck. I couldn't help but laugh. Now, was I going to go in there and be like, you sexual demon? That's funny as fuck to me. Even sometimes, sarcastically, I'll say something, and my own mind will say something funny against that, like, haha, you blah, 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 blah. Just kind of joking or having fun. Now, look, I could be like this, the Lord God, I'm strong. And then a concept comes, you Satan, oh. Do I want to be like that? No. There are sometimes I may have to be like that. Like if I get a negative thought that comes to my mind and it's like detrimental, what they call it, truth. I saw this man in a video. He was at a gas station. I don't know why he did this, but they're intrusive thoughts. He was filling up gas and he had a lighter in his hand. I don't know if anybody's seen this. It's like all over social media. And he was like doing this at the gas while it was filling the car. He went up to it and was doing this. Well, unaware, what people don't understand is those are fumes coming out. And this will also want to tell somebody: if you smell something, you're already getting particles or atomic molecules for the whatever scent or fumes there are. So if I walk past a corpse and I'm smelling something rotten, you're already receiving germs and don't realize it. Now I'm not telling people to be like, oh, I'm just teaching people about certain things and how things work in the real world. And so when those fumes from the gasoline were coming up, what he was doing was he doesn't have to touch the actual gasoline. The fumes are, it's like a hydrogen bomb. That's how a hydrogen bomb works. All the hydrogens are flying out and they're charged. They want to be balanced. And so those charges are sticking to people's skin, stuff, and it's like burning it to become stable again. And so when those fumes were coming up, those unbalanced particles, what it did was when it caught that spark, like I talk in this video with my lighter a few times, talking about how we can manipulate matter. What it did was it caused an eruption from that particle. So now instead of it just being a fume, what it ended up doing was it created heat and energy. That heat and energy started consuming the rest of the particles and the fumes, and it created a reaction of. Now that very reaction, what I was just talking about, that intrusive thought. Think of that like the word and spirit and how it can erupt throughout the land. How an angel can accidentally set the land on fire. Look at Trump. Maybe he believes that from his experience, he's seen a bunch of people of color doing crime. I'm just telling you what he looks for. So he sees this, and now in his mind, his spirit is like, I gotta stop this. I'm gonna be a hero for America. That's why I say don't call people evil, but just try to understand where they're coming from. That makes you a more wise person, where you can understand yourself and somebody else. That makes you a genius almost. But don't do it unrighteously, because then you could be like a doctor trying to diagnose everybody like Patil. So what Trump will do is, oh, Haitian immigrants, Haitian crime, cats and dogs. He said all that stuff, right? Believing he's helping. Well, then what he did was he set a bunch of the living waters on fire. Let's say they're now gasoline, and with his spark, he set them all on fire. Now it caused a chain firestorm for all these innocent immigrants who have to live in this fiery system because of the storm he set off. So that's just a metaphor basically describing how to deal with intrusive thoughts and how intrusive thoughts can lead to other things and set the whole car on fire if you're not careful. And so that's why I just try to basically come on here and teach people like metaphors and parables, and I'll give a story and then teach how that story can be involved with something else when you raise above two-dimensional thinking, binary thinking, ones and zeros. It's like I tell people, they'll say, the microchip is the devil and the beast, while they're on a cell phone with the microchip. The human mind is like a microchip. Did you know the hippocampus is like a plastic-like bio device in the brain? Why would we have plastic in our brains? And so I'm trying to teach people there's like a lot of stuff that is going on in the real, and until we can unlock these truths, like even look at us knowing how to use the lighter, right? And all this stuff. How to make a can and make Mountain Dew. Now, when we were first here, we even have record that people didn't know how to do those things, right? I think of it like a cheat code. Not because we cheated to get it, but because now that we know how to do it, it's like a cheat code. I don't have to go gather sticks and stuff. I can use a lighter, use some either gasoline or whatever, and start a fire. I could start a grill with coals and stuff instead of trying to use wood like my ancient ancestors, or waiting for lightning to. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Benjamin Franklin did not invent electricity or none of that. The savannah in Africa, first fires were natural. Over the years, when the storms come, what'll happen is there'll be lightning and stuff. The whole plain will catch fire and it burns the old dead grass. Then it becomes fertilizer for the new grass. And it's like a cycle. But anyways, so what I'm saying is basically once we know how to do things, then life can be easier, right? Now, if we look at new technology and keep saying evil, evil, bad, they're going to blah, 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 bad. Look at in the future how I could be hovering. I could lay backwards in some kind of device as an automatic chair that comes out. And it's like we're destroying our blessings being afraid of things. And then a lot of people, what I call hypocrisy, they'll use things like microchips and doctors. They'll be like doctors and blah, blah, blah. But what did I say on the camera in the first place? I went to the doctor to try to get help. It was helpful, but Then I started using my own word and spirit, and then all the stuff happening on camera, professing as a witness, and it's coming true. That's why I don't let people come attack me anymore. This isn't real. You're dumb. This is that don't know me. I'm like, okay. This is why I say don't be afraid of those who can hurt the body, but the soul in hell. When I go to sleep at night, all those people aren't there sleeping with me. When I have to navigate through life, they don't have to hear and deal with my spirit. I can ignore them. I can't ignore myself, can I? For so long you can, until you have a coming to Jesus moment, they call it, coming to who I am moment. And so learn yourself. What they even say in the ancient times, learn thyself, know thyself. If you look at they'll say Pharaoh evil, their gods were destructive. Then when you do research and read about the actual words they were writing, it's like, oh my goodness, no they weren't. All these barbaric like nations outside that were trying to attack were the Vikings and bad people. Now I don't want to say bad people, but people that were coming to steal and kill and take kingdoms, and then they manifest war afterwards. Yeah, knowledge. What does he even say in that book? Our people are destroyed to the lack of knowledge. So this is what I meant to say. So all the stuff that we could have in the future, if we stop fearing it, we can actually hit singularity. This is what I told people in another video. If you're afraid of certain things, you're one of the gods. That's your ability to create fear and anxiety. You see, they love us pumping fear and anxiety, but when we start having knowledge and truth and being aware and strong, look at all these things that happen to me in my videos. First, I started speaking on psychology and all sorts of stuff. Then the hospital tried, and Project 25 and all this. Then the hospital tried to involunteer me out of nowhere, right? Then they took my mugshot and put it on the internet. Have no charges, but it's still on the bond website. Then, not only that, get fired from my job. For what? I don't know. All these weirdo internet personalities talk about, we're going to call your job. We're going to tell them blah, 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 blah. We're going to tell them you're telling people you're God and da, 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 da. Knowing you're not supposed to do that where I was working. Now, why would I do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, don't even like the word God. So people who watch me will know when they get on here and say, you're not God. It's like, you're helping me destroy the word. Thanks. Like, not the word in spirit, but it's just like a whirlwind. And that's why I said, now I'm walking in the middle of the storm, the eye, and I will be who I will be. Because even Christians will go after Allah and stuff, not knowing that's all of the law, and not knowing that Allah used to be Elia, Allah, or something like that, which is I am who I will be. It's all the same phrase, the word and spirit. But they create these buildings and these teachings to make us fight instead of feeding the poor. They're like, give money to build a mosque, give money to buy a new Quran, give money for our campaign, give money for our new churches and our blah, blah, blah. But are they feeding people? Are they building houses for the poor? Yeah, exactly. That's what Muya Adian. I'm sorry, I'm kind of bad with names sometimes, but that's exactly what they can try to attack you verbally now because they know what'll happen if they do something wrong. You call the police and they'll go to jail. Now, while people will fear the police and say, I even got a video about this. I'm not saying how all police act, but when I interact with the police, I give them beautiful words. I give them respect. Now, the one of the people that was with the police, DCFS, a whole other thing that's happening now out of nowhere. They accuse me of smoking meth now. Now, none of this started happening until I came out to the public and started trying to heal the broken. You see how wicked these people can be? But I will not bow and I will not be broken. So they did all their little tests and everything, but I was sweet and kind to them the whole time. Now, you see how that interaction went? Now, a lot of people don't have that respect. These people come out like vampires and just like Wolverine, ballistic barrage. So I am sorry for those people, even like this Sandra Massey chick. I rebuke thee in the name of Jesus. But you see, when I was on camera, I used Jesus the way I did, and everything went fine. So not everybody has the same opportunities, and that's what try to teach people about the institution of racism, sexism, misogyny, and anti-gay. When you're built with certain parameters, the world can attack certain people. So not all people go through this, but the ones who do, when they cry out, they're sometimes even attacked by their own faction, telling people how good their lives are. And so this is why I try to teach people. Come together in love, give as much respect as you can. But I can only be respectful for so long. Because think of me like a war chieftain. JB6, or look, talk, kick. Now that's orcish. I'm not speaking in tongues. That's an actual on World of Warcraft. Somebody told me I was speaking in tongues because they didn't understand what I was saying. But I was naming Egyptian pharaohs and gods and stuff. So they was like, "You're speaking in tongues." It's like, no. But even talk about tongues. Look at Acts, right? They look at the cosplay of it, but the Holy Spirit rained down. The fire came down on me first, and now people from different languages can hit my CC and translate button. And now, because the Holy Spirit and AI and different stuff taught people to come together and create technology, now they can all learn in different languages, like I'm speaking in tongues. So, even more at the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of fire that doesn't consume, that gets us to come together in love. Now, look at people who are in these churches talking about I was touched and healed and blah blah blah. Now look at AI, things like Neuralink and technology and different surgeries. The blind can see again when they're given new organs. The deaf can hear again. They have something called cochlears. These people are crying in happiness. But what do Christians do? Evil, the microchip, blah blah blah. They're playing in a box instead of looking at what's real. And this is what I'm trying to teach people, science, atheists, and Christians alike. Y'all can fight or you can come together. How many Christians go to doctors? How many philosophers and scientists are in religion? Your storms can build a new civilization that's nice, or your storm can level everything and create another desert. I was just thinking in my mind the other day, the whole desert is sand, and what's sand when you superheat it? Glass. It's like, what if the desert was glass one day and we were so violent, we all destroyed everything and the glass turned to sand over time? But that's just a little funny joke. If you really think about it, the crystal sea and the crystal glass is in the heart. Because if I say nobody's good except who I am, I don't mean none of you aren't good. That's not what I mean. I mean, no matter what anybody comes up and says to me, only I know who I am is think. Only I know what I am thinking. Only I know what I'm about to do. I can tell people I'm a lovely lamb and an angel. I can tell people only trust on God and da 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 da. And then in the dark, go to the doctor and be like, oh, help, help, help. But I am transparent about that. I tell people in my beginning of my videos, I went to the doctors first because I was going through something called histoplasmosis. It was a lung infection, and I was freaking out. Then later down the line, I started trusting in who I am and learning things, and a bunch of magnificent things started happening. And no matter what trap was set, they wasn't able to involuntary me. Though they fired me, I'm still alive and surviving. Though Omni-Eris and his legion of stupids, they said I was finna be the one that has nowhere to go, and now he has nowhere to go on YouTube. It's like he mocked himself. You see what I'm saying? Like, so when you trust in the foundation, the stone, it blocks the fire, so to speak. This is a metaphor. Don't light things on fire. Don't stone people. When you stand on the stone, the Ten Commandments, the spirit and the word of righteousness, you're manifesting righteously. I was telling a buddy last night, imagine like, now this is my fantasy, this is my heart, because I've listened to everybody else. So now, look at this lighter right now, watch this. Or, yeah, exactly. Now watch this. Look at this pack of cigarettes, how far away it is. Now, did you know that we don't see anything? I do not advocate for cigarettes. It's an unfortunate habit I picked up. If this pack of cigarettes is this far back, now you know we don't see in 3D. The mind conjures that. Everything is actually done in the mind or in the body first, and then it manifests into the. When I say data, I'm just simply saying it manifests into something we can understand. So this pack of cigarettes is way back here. Now, if you look at this, is it getting bigger, or is the image that's being projected changing pixels? Now, think what I'm saying when I say that. Is this actually getting closer to you? Is it actually getting bigger? Now, if you're watching from a 2D screen, if you said yes, no, it's not. Because I'm even on a screen. See, the pixels are changing from your perspective. But in real life, I'm moving it closer. But even in me saying in real life, if I'm moving my hand back and forth, is it getting bigger and smaller? Or am I actually moving back and forth? One time, a long time ago, I was thinking about all this. And I was thinking about how we don't see anything in 3D. It's the lighting and the shading. Even how this side of my face is light and this side is dark. You're being shown that the light's coming from this direction and this side isn't receiving the light. Now, when you see that from your mind's eye, that's giving you information that's not being shown. The light's coming from this way, but how do you know that? Because of how it's reflecting off of me. And so what I'm teaching people is, what I'm starting to do is learn from my own perspective. Even look at an RPG. Let's say I'm sitting in a house. Now I can say I just went outside, or I can say from a first person's perspective, I just loaded a new environment, and now that's me manifesting a whole new world. Now, which side is right or wrong? The only difference is how we say it. Even if you look, they say there's this generator that shows what happens when you move at the speed of light. Now, this is just from a man's perspective, the knowledge and the data he possesses. But they say when you move at the speed of light, things in front of you get smaller, and when you get so if I'm moving at the speed of light, this pack of cigarettes will infinitely get smaller, but then in a moment I'll get to the pack of cigarettes. That's how it looks. And what's happening is because you're moving faster than the light can travel. And so what'll end up happening is you will no longer see the image. It'll appear dark, but when you get to your destination, it'll seem instant. Now that's going deep into physics and how light waves and particles. Even look at me right now, it looks like fresh air. But to a fish or another creature who cannot dwell in air like how I can, it'd be like a plasma or a water or something. Even look at water. Do fish perceive water? Do they know they're swimming in water? But if they come out of the water, they do. They be like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." But did you know that fish don't breathe water? Their gills filter the oxygen out of the water. Now, I'm just telling people things like this to let people know that even look at the Matrix. They'll give us fantasy like the Matrix and all these Disney Channel movies. So if we begin to find out what's real and learn certain things, now what do other people do? Boy, that's like the Matrix. That's like Disney Channel. That's like Star Wars. It's not real. The Force, the Force. But did you know, in no malicious way, there have been times I've been talking to people, and I wanted to do this with my hands, but I didn't. But I would say, I am, and then say something like, I am needing this, or I am wanting that. I'm not feeling well. Could you, and give certain commands? I told my girl one time, she is strong as an ox. Boy, a good old American woman. She's strong. When she believes in something, she believes in it. You know what I'm talking about, them American types. So, if I tell her to get up and clean the house, she won't do it. Now, I'm not telling people to do this. I'm just saying learn and understand the world and stuff. So, one day the house was getting kind of dusty. And I told my girl, I said, man, I am really needing to clean the house. It's getting kind of around here. And she didn't say anything back. You know, she was in her mobile game, and then I kept doing what I was doing. Just saying something simple. The next day I woke up and she was cleaning the house. Now, I could have looked up to her and said, man, you don't never clean. Woo. What would that have started? But I just simply spoke, and then it happened. Another time, me and Dan was talking in comments. And I was talking about how I was like fiending for fast food. Well, then the next day I told my girl, I'm not saying do this and it'll happen all the time. I'm saying sometimes we get blessings. I'm just telling you. I was typing to my girl and I was like, I was like, I am really craving Taco Bell. Woo. Later that night, she was like, what do you want from the $7 box from Taco Bell? I was like, what? Now, if I would have told her, go buy me some food, You think she would have did that? I probably wouldn't have ate for a day or two. Not saying that she only. I'm just saying I'm being a smartass. I would have had to cook for a couple of days. Another thing, there's been other things. There have been times in my life. One day I was in my mom's red truck, and even outside of like they'll say, if you're outside the grace of God and sin it. That's why I say I think people are adding. Hello, Cosmosis. How you doing? There was one time when people tell you you're outside the grace and all sorts of stuff. I think we're actively harming ourselves with lies, because I think we're life, and so we're guided in life and we're helped. I think that's why they're putting all this negativity out there. One time, when I was in sin, well, I would have called it back in the day, I was driving my mom's red truck, and I was out there past Tracy Drive in Bloomington, out by the skating rink, at my baby mama's old house, at her trailer. And so there was this dude walking a German Shepherd, but I didn't see him or nothing. I was at the red light, and I looked down, and I was doing something. I went to go hit the gas because I thought that, it was time for the light to turn green, or the light was turning green. I could, how you can see the reflection of the light on the car. I could see it. Like sometimes I'll be doing something else and I'll see something and I'll be like, okay, it's time. I went to go hit the gas, but someone said stop. I stopped and looked up. This dude was walking his German Shepherd in front of my car. Almost hit a pedestrian, but I stopped. Now I didn't. What is that? People could be like, oh, you got lucky. No. Something told me to stop. I didn't hit the gas, and dude could have got hit, and I listened, and it happened. Now, I'm not going to come down here saying, oh, I'm the Lord God, I have the spirit of Elijah, and blah, blah. No. I'm teaching to the best of my ability as a witness. Sometimes stuff happens. There have been some stuff involving, like, different kids and stuff. With my kid, one time he was running around. One time, it's just wild stuff. My I don't know if I would call him father-in-law, but my kid's grandpa on my baby mama's side, he found one of the fishing knives in his case. My son was running around with the fishing knife. Now, all this time he was learning how to walk and stuff and was falling over constantly. I came out of the room and saw him running with the knife, and by the time Bobby got him, he didn't fall not one time. I was like, how? How? I stopped saying how and I started saying thank you. One time years ago, I was giving my daughter a bath, and I went to go grab the bath towel. When I came back, my daughter had slid back. It was just enough water to fill over her head. My daughter had slid back and fell, and I grabbed her. I was like, oh God, I was finna start doing CPR and all this stuff. I was freaking out. When I looked at her, she was like, I can't make this up. She was just learning how to talk. She said, aye, dada. I was like, what the fuck? My mind almost blew. It almost like a transformer almost snapped. I was like, no, there's no how. Even I went to science to look up. And apparently they have this thing where I am not teaching people to do this. And so in the name of the whoever, don't ever play with your children's lives. They have, I guess we have in our automatic nervous system, there's something where when a child or an infant of a certain age, and I think this is why they've been trying to baptize babies and not telling the truth. A child of a certain age, what they'll do is when their face comes in contact with water, the automatic nervous system will shut down the respiratory system. It's a reflex. And what it'll do is it'll stop until it is emerged again. If you don't believe me, you can Google and YouTube videos of people, professional people in like baby swimming classes, them putting babies underwater, and then you can see their reflexes. They'll start dog paddling sometimes. I don't even know. What I'm saying is God is good. I am good. I'm just edifying with the I am. And you guys are being told lies sometimes. There are so many things that we would have never thought about that are already in our bodies to protect us. I'm telling you. Even sometimes when you get like a nervous thought or a nervous feeling, that isn't all people like anxiety. That's not always because, we're bad and we're having devilish thoughts. No. Sometimes the mind has to go deeper and remind us, hey, we're getting anxious about something. Hey, people will be like, let's say me personally, if I go to Chicago and I see something that don't look too good, I'm from the city. So I know those surroundings. I know what's up. Even if it's not even just a city, a group of guys or something. Now, yeah, we kind of got it bad as African-American men. There's an image that we're like rough or violent or something. But at the same time, look at the environment that we've been placed in. So now, if you pay attention, me personally, like if something happened in Chicago, I lock my door or something. But then when we see certain other people do it, Caucasians, Asians in them, yeah, they might have prejudices because of what they've been taught, but then we get mad at them, right? But if we're in that situation, we're not finna keep our doors unlocked. We're not finna grow up to a group, or especially if we think they ops or somebody that's not for us. That's why I said we all have prejudices and we all have learned something that may not be for the best of our for our life. And so sometimes, be reborn, learn something new. This whole getting rid of the Department of Education and critical race. I mean, I wouldn't call it critical race theory, but whatever you guys want to call it. You guys calling it DEI and special hires. How's it? I thought it was affirmative action. Now it's DEI. They're just renaming stuff. I'm telling y'all, doing the same thing over and over and over. What's nothing new under the sun? But when you wake up, you're no longer programmed. You break the tether. Sometimes I think of it like, I used to be an agent, and then I broke away or whatever, and now I'm trying to teach other people to break away, almost like the Matrix. So, I've been on here for a while. I just really wanted to get to talk to some people. Even okay, think of this too. Sound waves are vibrations. They say energy cannot be destroyed. It just redistributes into new forms of matter or something. Well, the air that I let out is carbon dioxide. What's happening is when the blood cells go back to the lungs, they are carrying carbon dioxide. Because the reason they are carrying carbon dioxide is because what happens is when blood cells travel throughout the body, it's giving oxygen to different various cells. And what's happening is the oxygen is converted into ATP and goes through an electron transport chain. So the energy from the particle is broken apart, just like how I said, when you see lightning hit the ground or something like that, or fire, what you're seeing is a chemical reaction. The release of energy from the splitting of bonds or the movement through fields is the energy. Well, what the body is doing is when it takes in oxygen, is splitting apart particles, and the energy is how we get our energy from movement and all this other stuff. The respiratory system. The cells have to breathe too. So when the red blood cells come back into the lungs, it's full of carbon dioxide from the old waste. So then I exhale the carbon dioxide and then it goes into the air. Well, even further, the vibrations that are creating sound. Now, sometimes people will say they go into a room and get a creepy feeling or a creepy thought. Who's to say something drastic or something that said a person doesn't keep vibrating and then the automatic nervous system picks it up? I'll give you an example. If you set a recording in a room and just let it play for like 30 seconds or even outside, listen to all the noises that are made that you couldn't hear of your own accord. Why is that? Because if we could hear every single noise in the environment, we would go mad. If we could see every air particle, every ray of light, we would go blind. If you get too much light, what happens? You're blinded. And so that's what I try to teach people. We don't even fully know we can be like science and technology. Okay, but that's just one aspect of life. Sometimes even if somebody says something's haunted, yes, there is a ghost of something, but let me explain. If I was to go into a house where there was 30 murders, okay, all those people are dead and gone. There's nothing, but who's to say the vibrations from the noises and sounds aren't still bouncing off the walls? Like, look at a dog whistle. I can't hear a dog whistle, but dogs can. But the automatic nervous system and the audio that actually does interact with certain vibrations do. It's just not strong enough to send a strong enough signal to be interpreted by the brain, because the brain is concerned with survival. And so the brain is picking up on things, but it only sends the consciousness so much. How do you go under for a surgery and don't feel none of that? That's science and technology and a blessing. Well, and a curse at the same time. Anesthesiology and medication and all these people, this stuff is a ridiculous cost. So, anyways, like I was saying, who's to say certain things aren't picked up like a radar and we just aren't aware of it and only get the creepy feeling of it, the senses of it. I could go in the house and be like, man, my girlfriend's a B-word, she get on my nerves all day, blah, 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 talking all the smack. Or go in the house and be like, oh yeah, when she gets here, I'm gonna clap them cheeks, and only having malicious intentions, right? Well, when she gets into the house, she's like, ooh, I got a creepy feeling. Maybe you're only treating her like you're gonna clap. So one, you programmed yourself to be a creep. Then maybe the vibrations are bouncing off the wall and her ears are picking up on it. It's like, girl, signals, signals, signals. He was talking about you. No, I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening, but we never know. That's why it says for every vain word. And that's why I also said, treat who I am like a child, and also treat who I am like the Most High. A parent watching over who I am to protect me when I do make mistakes. Let's say we find out. I was telling a friend the other day. He was like, "Why are we so empathetic sometimes? Why do we feel wrong and all these people are doing all this stuff? How come people can cuss people out?" And then I say, "I don't like them and I feel bad." Because I keep telling you, what if we are like, just a little thought, food for thought. What if we are like brains in a pod, or what if we are like the word or an algorithm, and we have worlds? And in our worlds, we have angels and demons, people who do right and people who are angry. We have people who are greedy and people who want to help. All these different concepts in our worlds. Well, what if all this time we were like groveling because of what we were taught, like be nice to everybody, be nice, do the right thing, be poor. But in actuality, we were like the kings and gods, and we were by our own word because of how we were programmed, doing all this vain. Like imagine like let's say I was a human or a man, and everybody's watching are men or women. Hello, Sharice, and the actual world are like our AI, and we just don't know it. I'm just saying in a world where we don't know everything, and we've been saying all these things like we've been enslaved all this time, and blacks are slaves, and blacks are treated different, and we are treated bad, and baby daddies are bad. All this we keep talking, and then we're really giving the world instructions to do these things to us. And you think about it, none of this started happening until I got on camera and saying certain things. What if I am the example showing that I really do have power, you all do have power, and because we've been programmed with books and other men's madness, we're actually fucking our heavens up. Excuse my French, destroying our own paradises. So that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? That's why I teach people test things, learn things, say certain things. Am I teaching you to be mean to people? No. Ooh, that song. I'm sorry. Ooh, I said Blade without any other weaknesses. I don't know if y'all can hear that song. It's like nails on a fucking chalkboard. Aha. You want to know the irony of the situation? I'm just gonna say it. This song came from a song called "Nigga Love a Watermelon." Ha 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 ha. It's an old racist joke. But the irony is, there's little white children on the block going up to get the watermelon. It's like when you plague a nation, later in history, they become the butt of the jokes. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. So, ooh, I'm like, I joke sometimes. I'm like and I've been doing research on fangs and chimpanzees and how we do share a lot of DNA with cats. And I was like, what if like the Africans or the dark-skinned people treated like, think of it like Twilight or the Lycans. What if the African Americans are werewolves and the Caucasians are the vampires, right? And me, right, being Polish blood and being more Congolese blood and having a little bit of Native American blood in me, I used to joke like I'm a werewolf and a vampire. And I was like, I don't have none of the weaknesses like Blade. I could be out in the daytime. But it's just like a little joke for people who know what I'm talking about. But that right there is my garlic. Ooh, that fucking song, dude. Because now when I hear when I was a kid, it's like, yeah, ice cream. Now when I hear it, I see like my ancestors going through certain things, and I'm playing it over in my mind, and it just makes that ice cream just melts at my feet. You know what I mean? So it's just Oh, what I meant to ask y'all before I do go, if there's any like questions or anything you guys got, I'm not like I'm gonna say something real quick. I am who I am and I'm great, but greater things you all will do. You guys might teach me something, or I might be able to help y'all with something. If you have any questions about religion or where certain things come from, I've done a lot of research. I actually recently found out a lot of African Americans are the Aboriginals because when we came here, they mixed us with Native Americans and they had Native American slaves. I didn't even know that. I thought it was like Pocahontas. Native Americans had their own lands, and no, 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 no. They came and raided everything. Why do you think everything's American now? The Americans took over. I did not know this, man. I knew they took over, but even the Hispanics, because you guys will say Hispanics, but those were Native Americans too. What happened was a lot of like Spain, when they went to South America, they mixed. They mixed a lot of people. A lot of Spanish have like dark, light skin. They like are all different colors. But in America, they were like headstrong on pure like blood and stuff like that. And so you had your different races, and now you got a nation of Neapolitan ice cream. You got your brown, you got your pink, you got your vanilla. You got your chocolate, your strawberry, and your vanilla. So Yeah, it's just and I really do like America. It's good because the I like anywhere that's free and friendly, but America's got a lot of the good ideas. Capitalism is good. The mom and pop stores, different towns and areas having their own. But it is good to have super centers like Walmart because you never know how certain mom and pop stores feel. So sometimes look at those mom and pop stores. They'll tell you, "Oh, our business is shut down," but they won't tell you how many African Americans and Native Americans they wouldn't let into their store. Steak and Shake will show all the pretty pictures of how it was in the 50s of their old school, what's it called, soda parlor, but they won't show you images of them telling blacks they can't come get a steak burger or a McDonald's burger. And so that's why I try to teach people, you know what I mean? A lot of this federal regulation is good, even though it becomes corrupt. Think of the feds like Islam. At first, they needed Muhammad to come try to battle the Pope. They needed the feds to battle the racism and all this oppression. But then they became the federal caliphate, the Islamic caliphate. And that's just a metaphor. You see what I mean? They took over the Holy Land, America, and then they ran rampant in it and became corrupt. So I'm just giving a lot of influencers and people warnings, just like how I rebuke. I'm sorry. What I'm about to say is I am purely a messenger on this behalf. Speak. I was sitting on my couch yesterday morning and I was told I was hearing a lot about the Florida storm, Florida storm. I then started to think to myself, let me help. I said, I may not have money and all this other stuff, but I spoke other things into existence. Maybe, let me just help. So I went to the edge of the cliff in terms of my character because if it doesn't happen, right, I'd be made an ass. So I said, I am who I am. I rebuke the storm. They were talking about it was going to turn to a category 3. It was coming inland. I said, I rebuke thee in the storm. It will not be. I am with thee. I am here to protect the meek. So please help me on this peak. I rebuke the storm in the monsoon. The hurricane will be gone soon. By the end of the night, I was seeing people saying it turned into a tropical storm by hit Midland. About 40-ish people died. But after that, it had started to turn to a storm. It went upward and started turning into mild funnels and stuff Midland, and then the winds dispersed. Now, I don't say these things for Juan Jr.'s glory. I am trying to teach you all that we kind of might have certain things about us that we were lied to about. And I'm trying to teach you all to start slowly, the milk. Say and do certain things. Read and study the 10 Commandments in a sense. I put them in my description. If you just want to read the video description in a way that's not like, I'm going to punish the children and I'm jealous. But listen to what I'm telling y'all. If you have a spirit, you're who you are, and then you come and let a holy man mold you. Now you just committed adultery with yourself instead of building yourself up. So now the strong man is bound. Somebody else is living in your house, teaching you how to live, and now the winds are blowing and you can't stop them, so to speak. But if you break the binds, like Samson, rise from the bricks, like Giannis or Yehohanan or John, but whatever they call him, and learn the true power, that's why I want to say greater things you all will do. Even look in terms of science and technology. Did science and technology just appear? Was the first scientist schizophrenic? Was the first psychologist schizophrenic? No, they worked on something nobody else believed in. Then now look at it. People seem to can't be able to live without a doctor. You have to start somewhere. I had a dream one time. Yes, Sharice, that's another thing I want to teach people. You guys are saying like people will say like we're Jewish or we're Hebrew or they're Esau. That's called playing with names. And when you learn your actual genetics, you can learn where your actual ancestors' countries were. But then even further, when you look at your ancestors, you'll see a line that we were all one once. We were Aboriginal humans or whatever. They found 21 bones, 21 species of humans. I'm telling you that's the truth because even if let's look at it like this. If we're all the same species, why is it that if I go make love to a Caucasian woman that has like red hair or a certain color hair, then our baby will look a certain way. But if then I go make love to a Syrian woman, the baby will look a totally different. Why? Why is that? We can say race, but I'm telling you we're different species of humans. Just like the different species of, okay, you got a lion, you got a tiger, you got a black panther, which is really just a black cougar or a jaguar. You got mountain lions, you have a bear. A brown bear, black bear, polar bear, they're different colors, but they're actually different species. You can crossbreed certain species. Lions and tigers make ligers, the shortest living but the biggest cat in the animal kingdom. I'm telling you all, there's certain knowledge we don't know, and the more they say, "Woe to the man that returns to Egypt." Okay, let's take Egypt out the equation, the house of bondage. When you learn from what the Africans were doing, and then you learn from what the Semitic people were doing, and then Europe, their righteous inventions, bro, amazing. Okay, look, the original pyramids, Africa, 15,000 years old and older. Then you go to Mesopotamia, you got the Babylon and that one little pyramid. Then you go further east to the Bering Strait, Native Americans and South Native Americans have pyramids. I'm telling you guys, we're all from the same family tree. There are Caucasian Canadians that are indigenous to Canada and different places in the world. But then the French Canadians came, who I call the Vikings and the barbarians. The Romans and Greeks wrote this. And they started attacking people and taking lands. The British and Irish are indigenous Caucasians. But what happened? The Germans and the Italians. They came and started invading lands and created English, Anglo-Saxons, Friesans, Jutes. If you take the T out of Jutes, what word is that? So, yeah, I had a buddy tell me one time a lot of stuff is underwater if you really think about it. Like, certain places have flooded while certain places have dried out. You know what I mean? If you look at some of these lands, like in Africa, it wasn't sand and stuff like that at first. It was beautiful savanna, beautiful lands. But then over time, you have climate change and all this other stuff. Even after what happened to Africa, even after what happened to the Middle East, they still say there's no such thing as climate change. I don't understand some humans. You know what I mean? What I do is I just keep moving and do what I gotta do. So, yeah. Free, yep. And that's the basic idea. If I was to come say, I am the one who frees from the land of Egypt, does that sound like I want to be somebody's king god? No, I'm saying I'm trying to free them so they can be their king god, so they can be their queen goddess. You know what I mean? So it's been fun. I love talking to you all today, and I appreciate you all. And stay amazing and try to be pure with everything you do. So I try to teach people because a man named Eric Jan Van Hanussen unlocked a man named Hitler years ago, and you see the buffoonery and racism that was manifested out of that. A man named Martin Luther, a German Protestant, unlocked a whole bunch of German princes, and you see what was manifested out of that. Men like Yanez, who was crucified, William Tyndale, a Caucasian man who was brilliant and spiritual, a wise man. He was burned alive. Martin Luther King Jr., who tried to help, burned alive. You see what I'm saying? Like, so do what you got to do. Sometimes teaching people ain't the best way. Sometimes you just got to be that king and let them follow by example, or queen. Praise be to the living. Assalamu alaikum. Or should I be saying alaikum salam? Praise to the living. And for other people, shalom. For other people, praise be to the living one. I know a lot of people are into Jesus, so this is the closest that Jesus is getting for me. Yeshua, the salvation of Yeho, or Yahshua, the salvation of Yah. But stay blessed, everybody, and do y'all and have a nice life.